What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another movie review. And the movie I want to take a look at right now is Spider-Man No Way Home. So this is the third in the Spider-Man Home trilogy starring Tom Holland, following Far From Home and Homecoming. And the plot goes as follows for this one. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, Peter asks Doctor Strange for help. When a spell goes wrong, dangerous foes from other worlds start to appear, forcing Peter to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. So that is your plot right there. Pretty vague, just like the marketing. So, they're definitely keeping a lot of surprises hidden, and, some of the reveals and just how the story plays out. They want you to be surprised for sure. And speaking of that, speaking of the surprises and stuff, I'm going to break this up into two parts. I will talk about the film in a non-spoilerly way. Congratulations, I can't say that word. And then the second half, I will dive into spoilers and like some of the things I found pretty important for the stories and everything going forward. But I'll give you fair warning before I switch over. But I just want to let you know that I decided to just go ahead and lump both of them in together. I know a lot of reviewers are dividing them up. Some of them are just doing full-on spoilers, but I'm going to give you guys both. That way, if you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. You can watch the first half now and come back when you watch it. But there's just a lot of important stuff to talk about that it is hard to not talk about in the non-spoiler section. So, that's the way I decided to do it. So, there you go. Going into this, I was super excited. Seeing the conclusion in the first trilogy with Tom Holland. Where is that going to take his character? Is he going to have some chips on his shoulder that he's going to have to carry? Emotional baggage into the next films. I was curious to see how it's going to play into the overall MCU. There's just the next chapter in this gigantic saga of a franchise. It's always exciting to see. And of course, with the minimal marketing that this film has had, and just the what they're telling us in the trailers and stuff, they're keeping a lot from us. And I was even more excited to kind of see like what they were waiting for us to see in a theater. So I saw the movie. I just want to let you know right now, this is a really, really good Spider-Man movie. Keep your multiverse expectations low going in. And I think you're going to have a blast with this. They don't dive into the multiverse that much. I don't think that's a spoiler. The trailers are pretty straightforward. That's all I'll say. And I think they're saving a lot of that stuff for Doctor Strange too. And so I just wanted to let you know that going in, so you don't have like these high expectations for multiverse stuff. They dabble into it. But this is mainly Spider-Man's third movie and how he is dealing with all these foes from the other universes, the Sam Raimi universe, Mark Webb universe, and how he's dealing with that, his relationship with his friends and his girlfriend, his aunt, all that stuff. That is the core of the story. The multiverse barely even touched on in this one. A lot of people could find that as a detriment. For me personally, like what they set out to deliver, I think they did pretty well. So I just wanted to say that going in. So there you go. So this is a really, really good Spider-Man movie. But as far as like the third one in a trilogy, I think this one is my favorite one out of the three. And I love Far From Home and Homecoming. But I think what this one provides the best, and obviously because it's the third one in a trilogy, it's wrapping things up. It has the biggest emotional pull to it. There's a lot more heft to it when it comes to those scenes. There's a lot more humor that I found in this one that I laughed at more than the other two. There's a lot more heart to this one. We've never really seen Peter Parker like this before, but I think taking this route and having him just do good no matter what mentality, that just makes him a really just kind of genuine person, and he's just trying to help. And that's really nice to see. And of course, this film is nostalgic. With all the villains returning and everything, very nice to see. It's, considering that I grew up with the Tobey Maguire movies, I was like 11 years old when the first one came out, so 11 or 12. But that was just really cool to have everyone kind of all interact with each other. So very nostalgic, and also a really great romance as well between him and MJ. I think that one definitely is a nice backbone to this entire story, and it was really just sweet to see. So let's start with director Jon Watts, because what I think he does very well is balance, and he balances, you know, Peter and MJ's romance and really utilizes their performances in the scenes, and it's really effective, and like it pulls at the heartstrings, so they're really well done, while also blocking and having great choreography for the fight sequences that feel like they're straight out of a comic book. They're just so much fun to watch, to have all these characters interact and fight one another. And also balancing the story. A multiverse story is not anything to sneeze at. Like, that can go south very, very quickly, but this one's pretty straightforward, so it's still hard to mess up. But I think Jon Watts does a pretty good job in delivering the story as best as he can, and as coherent as he can. And so I thought, you know, it didn't really detour too much. It didn't really, you know, feel like it was not making any sense. I felt like it was the perfect amount of multiverse storyline for this type of film. But the main thing I want to give Jon Watts credit on, as a director's job is supposed to do, is give the best performance out of your actor. And this is the best acting I've seen in any of the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. There's so much heart and devastation and emotional gut punches that I was kind of impressed. Like, I always knew, like, Tom Holland and, like, Zendaya, Marissa Tomei, you know, Jon Favreau, Jacob Batalon. I've seen them in other things, and I've always been impressed. But, like, bringing that into you know, some of the dramatic MCU style movies and doing it in this one was really cool to see. So I really felt every single scene that was happening. I really, like I said, the romance, some of the loss that happens in this film. I'll get into that in the spoiler section. But yes, the performances are out of this world, and I thought everyone did a fantastic job. And you know, Jon Watts really making sure he gets, like, what he needs out of those scenes, because if they were not as good, it wouldn't be as effective, and it wouldn't have gotten me a couple times while watching the movie. So props to him on that, for just, you know, bringing out the best in them. Speaking of performances and characters, let's start with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You know, throughout the entire franchise so far, I've always wanted Peter to have an emotional chip on his shoulder, carry some baggage with him, really make him a different character at the end of one of his movies. And that happens here. The evolution of Peter Parker in this film was a sight to behold, because what happens you know, towards the end is really going to set him on a different path. So just having his future unknown and uncertain like this, it's very interesting to see where he's going to go from here. Like I said, I'll get into the spoiler section here in a bit, but the ending of the film is very, very devastating for him and his future. So I liked the evolution of Peter in this film, and I thought Tom Holland really brought his A game. Zendaya is also a great shout out. She's not just, you know, his girlfriend, a side piece. Like, she actually has a lot more character depth in this one. And of course, like, I already knew she was a great actress, but, like, you know, she delivered her A game too, and I really liked everything she brought to the screen. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, he does his thing. There's really nothing more to him. He's very Doctor Strangey. There you go. There's my critique. Yeah, he's fine. You know, mainly just kind of there to move the plot forward in this particular movie. And of course, I'm excited to see him in his own sequel next year. Jon Favreau as Happy. He's got a couple moments that were really nice. But, you know, he's not really in this movie that much compared to the others. Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. You know, she always gets enough to do in these movies. But I think this one definitely was the better one that I've seen her do. So we'll dive into that in just a second. Let's see. Of course, Jacob Batalon, always a great companion piece to the original trio. I always like seeing him. And then, of course, the villains. You know, seeing Alfred Molina, Willem Dafoe, Jamie Foxx, and Reese Ifans, and Thomas Hayden Church, and all this stuff. Like, all their characters kind of coming into this universe was really just cool to see. Seeing their characters kind of slip back into their roles that they made so famous so many years ago without skipping a beat. Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina were definitely the standouts, and my God, it's like as if time didn't even pass. But that's just how good of an actor they both are. Really kind of just making it seem like between Spider-Man 2 and 3 and just that whole franchise, no time was wasted. And then, of course, the newest ones from Andrew Garfield's universe, also really nice to kind of see them play in this sandbox of other characters. Just a very just fun little spectacle. And then, let's see. That's about it. Everyone else has got like little to no screen time, like maybe 2 minutes or less. So that's your main group right there. And I thought everyone kind of all interacting with each other. They all pulled it off swimmingly. So those are your performances right there. As far as the action sequences and kind of like CGI and like just the overall look, I haven't been a huge fan of, I'm gonna be honest with you, a huge fan of like the way these films look in the Spider-Man trilogy. They're all kind of just bright. There's not a lot of like complexity when it comes to, the lighting or some of the scene setups or some of the cinematography. I've noticed that. It's not like anything where like, oh, the movie's terrible, but it is something to kind of note where it doesn't feel as creative as the other MCU films utilizing, differently composed frames or, different color correction or just anything to make it pop a little bit more and have a little bit more of a visual punch. And this one's the same way as the other two. It is what it is, but it is something I have noticed in all three of them. But it's not like a huge criticism to linger on. It's just something I wanted to bring up. As far as the actual CGI and the visual effects and the compositing go, the VFX artists were under the gun to try to get this done. It looks good for the most part. There are a couple of scenes where I was like, that looks a little shoddy and it could be worked on a little bit more and not pressure people to work 80 hours a week. So that was the one thing I was worried about going into this, besides the story of the multiverse, was how are the visual effects going to look, just because of the time crunch that the VFX artists were on. But for the most part, it's good stuff. So I will give them that. And it really makes the action sequences pop a little bit more between Spider-Man and the villains and maybe other characters that are in there. And so I really just enjoyed watching this comic book kind of come to life. I think that's it for my non-spoiler section. Overall, really like it. Really, really good Spider-Man movie. Keep your multiverse expectations low when going into this, and I think you're going to have a blast with it. I'm still looking forward to everything else in the multiverse storyline for sure, but just don't expect it here. But yeah, really good movie. The romance was at its core and its heart, and it really was effective to see them kind of elevate their romance a little bit. Some of the scenes with loss were really effective, and just having the overall story of like having people maybe forget Spider-Man because that's what the whole spell is all about. That could be devastating within itself, because then you're alone. You're shut out from the world and you're isolated because of a choice that you made. And that can be really devastating stuff as well. And then, like I said, some of the action sequences were really, really fun to watch, and just seeing all the villains come back would just brought a smile to my face. So a very good Spider-Man movie, and I would love to watch it again, which I am. And maybe I'll change my mind and like it a little bit more. So that is it for my non-spoiler section of Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, I'm going to give a 5-count warning, and then I'm going to jump into some of the things that I really want to talk about in terms of spoilers. Some of it is pretty obvious, and then others, were not so obvious, and I absolutely loved it. So, going to talk about spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To get the quick ones out of the way. Yes, Charlie Cox is in this. He's in it for one scene. He is Matt Murdock. So now he's officially in the MCU. That's cool. Toby and Andrew are in this movie. It's exactly how I thought it would play out. Really no big surprises. And it was really, really awesome to just see all three of them, including their villains, and everyone just like all interacting with one another. That was a sight to behold. Never thought I'd see the day. But yes, they are both in this. Once again, those three reveals, not surprising. The ending of the film is actually... let me talk about this. When Doctor Strange in the trailer is saying they're all coming in and I can't stop them, he stops them. No one comes in. It's very like... It's just a tease to what's going to happen in the Multiverse of Madness. Just wanted to throw that out there. But the ending of the film is... Well, I keep jumping ahead. So there is a death in the film. I figured it would be this person. But there is a death. It is Aunt May. It's probably the best performance that she's given in this Spider-Man trilogy so far. There's a lot more for her to do in this one. I think the emotional payoff of her death was not only satisfying in her performance and really delivering that, but also having Tom act with her in that scene, really delivering it. But also just story-wise, this is going to have a huge impact on Peter's future. And I'm sad to see where he could go. But I've always wanted him to have kind of like a chip on his shoulder to kind of just make his character a little bit more three-dimensional. And so Aunt May dies in this, and the scene between them both is beautiful. It really was. And then at the end of the film, it is very, very sad. So at the very, very end, Peter undoes everything, or undoes everything, and the cracks in the universe are sealed. That's why I told you, really, no one comes in. Doctor Strange fixes it because the spell is reversed, and he's able to make the whole world forget who he is, and as if they never met him. So at the end of the film, he kisses MJ goodbye one more time, and it's really sad to see, because in the very next scene, she has no idea who he is. Ned has no idea who he is, so he's just kind of wandering around New York with people have no recollection of who he is, and that includes the MCU characters. Doctor Strange says it in the movie. He's like, "I'm gonna even forget you. Like, do you want this?" He's like, "Yes." So that gives me a couple of things. One, going forward, it's going to be very hard for him to start from scratch. And that's great character development. I'm curious to see where it goes. And the second thing is, it lets Sony have him. They can have their boy back for good. Now, Kevin Feige did say that Spider-Man is the only person to float in between universes. Curious to see how they're going to do that. But for right now, Spider-Man is all Sony. Because everyone in the MCU is forgotten who he is at this point. So that great mission that they did in Infinity War and Endgame doesn't matter. They don't know who he is. So it's a clean start for Spider-Man, especially for Sony, to just kind of do whatever they want with him. But also very devastating character-wise in having to kind of start from scratch. And having the loss of Aunt May, it's like, now he has no one. He's truly alone. So that is the end of the film. Absolutely just great stuff. Also, I forgot to mention that, when he loses Aunt May, like, he has like this rage that he wants to dish out, and like he is on the verge of like killing Green Goblin towards the end. And Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man told him, I've been down this path before. The rage consumes you. You do not want this. And he's about to kill Green Goblin. I actually thought that he was going to go down that dark path. But then Tobey Maguire steps in and stops him before he's able to do it. But then Tobey gets stabbed by Green Goblin. And he's like, don't worry, I've been stabbed before. And then they go off into their own universes. But he was about to go down a dark, dark path. So once again, just little great character moments where I was just like, man, they're pushing his character to the limits, and I love it. So that's pretty much it. Spoiler wise, I know, not really surprising. That's it for pretty much the spoiler section. Let's dive into the end credit scenes, because this is where it gets awesome. So the first end credit scene, right after the initial blow of the credits, is Tom Hardy's Venom at a bar, because he's in this universe now, according to Venom 2, which I didn't see, by the way. I just read the end credit scene and just rolled with it. He's in this universe now, but then he gets shot back to his own universe, so he's not with Spider-Man anymore. When he gets shot back to the his own universe, a piece of the symbiote is left on the bar, and then it moves. And then it dives into the credits. And so that tells me that symbiote's going to find Peter no matter what. And he's going to become Venom in his own universe. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But that was the first one. And the second one, I got to sit up straight for this one. The second one wasn't even an end credit scene. The second end credit thing, I swear to you, was a full-blown teaser to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I thought they were going to play a scene, and I honestly thought they were going to stop after Doctor Strange walks up to Wanda like, the multiverse stuff? And she's like, yep. I thought that was going to be the end of the scene. No, they showed us a full-on teaser. So we got many set pieces that look absolutely bonkers, psychedelic, just insanity. So I thought that was probably the biggest surprise of the entire movie, was seeing a teaser for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Because I already knew Tobey and Andrew were going to be in it. I knew Charlie Cox was going to be in it. But my God, I did not expect a full-blown teaser for Doctor Strange 2. It was like a good minute and a half long. Like, it was crazy. They showed us a lot. And at the end of the trailer, they showed us evil Doctor Strange. What the absolute F? That was the last scene. I was like, I'm surprised they showed that. Doctor Strange comes into the room and he's like, I know who you are and all that stuff. And he turns around and he's evil Doctor Strange and he looks like the one from the What If animated series. And you're like, what in the hell is this? And then it just cuts to black and you're like, that was cool. They need to do more of that. And this isn't the first time they've done this before. I remember at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger, they had like a little teaser trailer for the Avengers and like coming next summer. So I guess they have done it before, but this was like completely out of left field, and it felt, I don't know, I just sat through the whole time like, oh my God, they're showing us a lot of stuff right now. But it looks great. It looks like Sam Raimi is really establishing his own blueprint in the Doctor Strange universe. It looks like it has a different color palette, so it makes it stand out a little bit more from the first one. The effects look absolutely insane. Traveling between these worlds and stuff. I'm stoked. So watching Spider-Man and having like an interesting end credit scene and just ending with a teaser, what the hell? So I absolutely, oh my God, I want to watch it again. Maybe they'll probably release it online here pretty soon, but man, that was really cool. So that's it for all the spoilers. Yeah, curious to see where they take Tom Holland in his new trilogy. Curious to see how he's going to float in between universes. Yeah, but as of right now, he's 100% Sony. So he's in that universe. No more MCU. So yeah. So let me know that is a hefty review, but that is my review of Spider-Man No Way Home, non-spoiler and spoiler sections. Please let me know down below what you thought of the movie. Whether you loved it, hated it, thought it was okay, if you liked it, you kind of thought it was kind of bad, whatever. I want to know all of that. Let me know down below what you thought about the movie. But that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.